Information fueled.
Opinion driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news.
.704 Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Nashville's Morning News. Joan?
Yes, sir.
Why are we early? What did you do?
Well, I can tell you, something's wrong with
We're trying to get Tim Burchett on the phone because I told him 7:06, and suddenly we're early. So everything okay?
So, no, I'm having a problem with this board. As you may have heard during the newscast, I'm playing one sound, and there's sound behind it, and I have no idea where it's coming from.
Well, we're stereo, so one piece of audio is for the left ear, and one piece of audio is for the right ear, whatever.
Why didn't I know that?
Come on, man. All right, Congressman Tim Burchett is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Congressman, always great to have you on. I want to play you a real quick audio. The folks listening, they have heard this ad nauseum now, but there's something that I think is going on, and it's within the local media, where Channel 5 ran this story about how, and basically what they're trying to say is that the Republicans in Congress are unwilling to answer their questions regarding Donald Trump and Elon Musk cutting funding for medical research through NIH.
A response we got was from Democrat Steve Cohen over in Memphis. Quote, "This is not the kind of cost saving Americans want because it is sure to cause unnecessary harm." Congressman Cohen added, "I joined a chorus of medical research professionals in demanding that this short-sighted and dangerous policy be reversed immediately." So it's clear that Congressman Cohen opposes these cuts. How the other spiel is less clear.
I mean, it really is a pretty easy question to answer, just so people know.
Absolutely. Just say one way or another.
A reminder, Cohen, the lone Democrat.
Exactly.
1 out of the 9. Hopefully we'll get responses from the others.
We're going to keep asking.
So nothing unbiased about that, Congressman. So let's talk about this, because this is not just, do you support Donald Trump and Elon Musk cutting funding for kids' cancer research? I mean, that's not what this is.
No, absolutely not. It's actually, you're talking about money going to Harvard, which has $1 billion endowment. It's colleges and universities. They keep saying they're research institutions. You know what? They're supposed to be educating students, and they've gotten so far from that, and they chase these dollars. They get involved in things that they never would have. I was reading some of the research about exercise is good. There was a $600,000 grant to a school down in Alabama. Is exercise good for a person with epilepsy? Well, exercise is good for everybody, okay? and if you read some of these grants, they are just pathetic. And they're crafted for somebody's school. I've sat in those meetings at the state when things were a little different, and we'd go up in the tower over there behind the Capitol building, and and they'd work the deal out, and it was just that same. Well, we need money. We do a pretty good job over at my school, and it's just the same kind of thing. And look, we're borrowing this money. We're borrowing this money to pay for these things. And it's that gravy train's got to end. I said it in the DOGE committee. I said the gravy train's been on biscuit wheels, and it's getting ready to run off the track. The gravy spigot is getting ready to get turned off, and these people cannot stand it. And that's why they've been attacking Elon Musk and these so-called kids at DOGE, and because they can't attack the issue. If they get to the specifics of what a lot of this funding's going for, transgender sex change operations for kids in Central America. What in the world? They're stealing our money out of our back pocket and sending it to these organizations. I have a bill to stop the Taliban from receiving $40 million a week that we know of. It's probably closer to $140 million. Now we come to find out that we've been funding terrorist organizations to the tune of billions with a B of your tax dollars. We're borrowing this money from your great-grandchildren. They can't stand it. And the reason they can't stand it is because they're stealing it and it's going into their pockets. It's funding their campaigns. It's funding it's some of it's just out and out theft. I think you're going to find that's why they're trying to get all this in the courts so they can muddy up the trail a little bit. Do you know what the number one search in the Washington D.C. area was last week on computers?
No.
Do you know? Criminal defense attorneys.
Are you being serious, or is that like a joke? Because that's funny.
That's totally serious. I talked to somebody, and they explained it to me. I'm not technologically advanced enough to understand that stuff, but they explained it to me. And if you look to the number of houses that are for sale in Washington, D.C.,
yeah.
And that goes well for me because I sleep on my couch because I can't afford to rent up there even. But, I sleep on my couch in my office. But the truth is the reason they're squealing is because they got their hands caught in the cookie jar. They're attacking Elon Musk and these 20-year-olds. I tell you what these 20-year-olds did. Go look in some of our graveyards. Go look at the kids that got killed in Vietnam. We didn't mind sending those kids off. I didn't mind sending my dad, Clarksville High School graduate, off to the Second World War, or my Uncle Roy, who never came home from Europe. We didn't mind sending all these young people to war, but now that they're uncovering all this stuff at DOGE, they're calling them a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And to me, that's pathetic.
Well, they're trying to destroy their credibility. That's what they're trying to do. But these I'm air quoting here, these kids from DOGE, I mean, they're going down into the code. I mean, they are doing, I don't even know if you would call it, this feels like beyond a forensic audit. I mean, they're going down into the code to figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is. And, the frustrating thing, though, Congressman Tim Burchett, is that, and this isn't just unique to Channel 5, there's a lot of places out there that are saying that, just to go back to the original question, about and I'm air quoting again, the cuts to life-saving medical research, you're looking at indirect costs. These are administrative costs that President Trump is asking people not to go over 15%. And this is salaries, this is cost to run the facilities and so forth. So there's also a lot of dishonesty in reporting, it seems to me. And that's why I've always believed that the yes or no question, yes or no, do you support Donald Trump cutting the life-saving medical research? Yes or no, Congressman? It's not a yes or no question because there's a lot of nuance and context.
It is. And they did the same thing to Reagan. I'm 60 years old, but I remember when they got on Reagan, he found out that it cost $1 and sometimes over $1 to administer $1 of care to somebody, to get $1 to an organization or a person. So he cut that bureaucracy out. And what did the left do? Oh, Reagan cut this program in half. Well, yeah, he did, because now all the money goes to the people, and the other stays in the taxpayer's pocket where it should be. So this is not they're squealing because they got their hand caught in a cookie jar. That's all it is. And they've got a little niche, and they're going to show some poor person who, is getting cut out of something, and they'll show them crying on the 6 o'clock news, and then you'll see a bunch of gutless politicians run from it. We better stand up to this thing. This is our one shot at saving the republic. We're $36 trillion in debt. Every 100 days we add another $1 trillion, and neither party has a plan to pay that back.
No, they don't. And I'm not pretending to say that only Democrats are responsible for the issues that we have in Washington, D.C. right now. Republicans have been right there as well. You yourself have been sounding the alarm on this I've been here for 11 years, and you are always right there screaming about fiscal responsibility and so forth. And so I appreciate your stance on where, frankly, our government does need to cut, and your appreciation for what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing, because this is what the American people voted for. Congressman, a couple of days ago, actually it was a few weeks ago now, you had made a comment about how you would welcome refugees from Gaza into Tennessee. So I'm going to ask you about that coming up next, and I want to get your perspective on that because I know that there is a talk of vetting and so forth. So we're going to get more perspective on that coming to TN. I'm going to paraphrase Congressman Tim Burchett. I'm going to paraphrase what you said a couple of weeks ago. I think you were on CNN or wherever it was, but basically the headline was Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett is welcoming Gaza refugees into the state of Tennessee. And of course, there's a lot of controversy about what to do with people from Gaza because Donald Trump wants to, turn it into a resort style kind of a thing. And the question is what to do with all of these people that are in Gaza while they basically figure out what to do and rebuild and recover. You've got the neighboring nations that don't want these people. And there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And you had made that statement. And you had made mention about vetting and so forth. You said that some of the finest people you know are from this area of the world. And so talk a little bit about what led you to make that statement and talk about the reaction.
Well, the reality was what I said at the end of it. I said, would I welcome them? It was one of those deals, they're asking you a question and and they want a yes or no. And I said, yes, I would. I said, I know some of them, they've been here. They're Christians. They're some fine, one of them was an attorney of mine. I grew up with some of these kids. But I said, but there is a vetting process. And I said, they edited it all out. But I basically said that it's they're not going to get any of them here because they're terrorists. They're not coming up. We shouldn't be letting them in this country. I said, but if they meet the criteria, we should. And of course, that got blown all out of proportion. And it's probably, then you got to ask yourself, why are all these good conservatives watching CNN or taking the word of CNN? Because that's the farthest thing from the truth of what I said. But, they're going to blow it out of proportion. And I've got some enemies on my side of the aisle that would like to see me out of politics, obviously. Yeah. I cramp their style and I call them out too much. Mm-hmm. So, I'll take my licks, but on this one, they were just misinformed and they took what I said out of context.
Let me ask you this, because vetting is, and I will admit to you, Congressman, I had initial reaction at first. It took me a long time to find the actual interview on CNN, which I don't know why it was so hard to find. I'm the king of finding audio. Once we played the entire, not the entire interview, but that part of it in context, we were able to surmise basically what you were saying is if there's a vetting process and they pass the vetting, then okay, then that's fine. We can welcome them in. But you also said that you don't have a lot of confidence in the vetting process. And I guess that's a big part of the conversation too.
Absolutely not. I mean, that's how we've got, Omar here, from wherever she's from and all that nonsense that she's
Johan Omar, Somalia. I think she's from Somalia.
Yeah. She's a friend of mine, but they're supposed to come in and assimilate, and what do they do? They just all congregate in one group in one area, and that's how she gets elected. We always say, we'll beat her next election. No, you're not. No, you're not. She's got everybody in her district thinks like she is. They come from where she comes from, or not everybody, but the majority obviously do. And you've got pockets of that all around the country, and that's by design. That's these liberal think tanks say, oh, the great melting pot. Well, the great melting pot was a pretty cruel process compared to the way we do it now. When these folks came in from Ellis Island, I mean, they could send them back. They give them tests and things, and they just send them back. We were pretty brutal back in those days, and the process we have to have a process that they're going to be loyal Americans, and there's no way to judge that, and that was part of the point I was making too. Yeah, there's no way you're going to do that, so you don't bring them in.
And I guess the question is, is there a way to fix the vetting process? And I guess that's part of my question too, and I'm not throwing stones at anybody, but is there even a way to properly vet people coming into our country?
I don't think so. I always quote my father, and it gets me in trouble, but he used to say that, and of course he was in the Pacific, and the people that he was fighting didn't mind dying at all. He said, if somebody wants to take you out and doesn't mind losing their life, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. If somebody wants to come over here and just lies about it and fakes everything, that doesn't, that's how we've got Chinese spies that are cavorting with members of the United States Congress. We've allowed these people in through some process, and the process is broken. And that's another thing that'll have to be fixed. But I don't know that DOGE will fix that or not, but I think it'll just defund some of these organizations that are liberal, that your tax dollars are funding, that are bringing these people in or sponsoring these people, because they ultimately are trying to destroy this country.
All right, we'll leave it there. Congressman Tim Burchett, always appreciate your accessibility, and wishing you a good rest of week. And we'll talk to you again.
Hey, brother, thank you so much. I hope that my buddy Bobby Petray sends me a positive thumbs up every time I'm on with y'all, and she sends me a message. She was a dear friend of mine when I was in the legislature. So anyway,
got it. We all love Bobby Petray, and here's what I want to know, Joan. Why is Bobby sending Congressman Burchett a thumbs up, but she doesn't send me a thumbs up? I'm doing the interview.
Yeah, well, I think they call that a snub.
That's exact. We're kidding. We love Bobby. Bobby, you rock.